Bruce Snyder back at the NCAA tournament in Orlando, Florida, and we've just bumped into Donny Marshall, a man who's played on the court and now is describing it right adjacent to the court. Donny, how's everything going?
Everything's great. I mean, beautiful time of year. I have so many emotions that I think about this time of year, being in the NCAA tournament throughout my career at UConn, and it really is a tremendous time of year.
I was just going to ask you, does it bring you back when you see them lace up the shoes? Does that itch get back in you?
It does. I've stayed around the game. I do broadcast for the Brooklyn Nets. I was with the Boston Celtics the previous 8 years. Still very connected to my university, helping Coach Ali out there. But being at the games and being at a venue like this, it's pretty tremendous because you remember the crowd that comes out for your shoot around, for your open practice, and you just remember the importance of it and how special it is, especially when you get later in your career. And
now you're doing national radio for the NCAA tournament, this region right here. How much different is it calling college versus pros?
The main difference is the sense of urgency. Every play is so very important in college. Possessions, we talk about taking advantage of the basketball, treating every possession like it's your last. In the NBA, you have 20 to 30 more possessions, and you have a few more minutes in the game, and it lasts about a half hour to 45 minutes longer. The college kids know one game could mean everything. In the NBA, even in the playoffs, one game, okay, we have a few more we have to play when you're talking about a series. So it really is a sense of we have to do this right now. The next time down the floor, let's take advantage of it.
A big reason why the senior-dominated teams like Florida, or for the team that a lot of our viewers follow, Louisville, have an advantage is because they have so much older players that understand the urgency that you were just talking about.
Well, listen, a lot of people say the younger teams are the ones that should scare you because they have no idea what it's like to really lose. There's nothing pushing them because they don't know what it's like. They haven't been there before. Right. When you have a team like Louisville, it makes it that much more special. My money would always go on a team like Louisville only because they've been there and they've done that, even though it's a cliche. It's so true. Russ Smith is a guy who comes to mind for me that my senior year, we lost to UCLA to get to the Final Four. And I tell you what, that year, the previous year, we played pretty well too, getting to the 16th. And with Russ Smith, he's been there already. This doesn't devalue what he's trying to do, though. He wants to win another one. And I think that's what makes his story so special when you talk about all the seniors around the country.
And you look at last week, Russ in the conference tournament, he had to go out and score, 42?
Yeah.
He does that. Then he has another game where he scores, I think, single digits because they didn't need him. He distributed the ball a lot. The man is unselfish enough to do exactly what his team needs for him to do.
Yeah, I think from a fan's perspective, everyone knows, we know the Rusticulous and all the cute names, but I think his teammates can appreciate more that what people talk about when they talk about Russ Smith it's so much more than that. Like you said, he gives the game, to quote a great NBA player, Paul Pierce, it reminds me of Russ Smith, he gives the game what it needs. That's exactly what he does. He knows when he has to score. He also knows, and I think he's learned a lot from not having Peyton Siva there, how to back off a little, let other guys kind of take over and get his other teammates involved. And obviously his teammates are responding so well to that.
Is Montrezl Harrell peaking at the right time? I mean, the man is a beast. He's a sophomore with the body of a tight end.
I've told people from the beginning of the season that first, Shane Bohannon would have been the guy said the NBA scouts are coming to see, and obviously we know how unfortunate his situation was this season. But next, it was Montrezl Harrell. And people said, who? He's a sophomore, when they just read his name in the paper or in the media guide. And I said, no, pay attention to him. And now it's interesting. Every NBA scout, they're salivating over this guy, and they should. And you're right, he's peaking at the right time. I tell you what, he's going to go out with a bang either way. And again, I'm not a betting guy, but if I had to put my money on one big in this tournament, he would have to be the guy.
And, it's kind of interesting because you say all this about Louisville, and then we turn around and they're a 4 seed. Obviously, by your laugh, it surprised you also.
Yeah, when you're on the air and people are asking you questions about what surprises you most, to me, it's not which seed a higher seed is going to beat a lower seed or vice versa. It's how you put the reigning national champs. In my opinion, they're still the national champs until in 6 more games.
Right.
So to give them a 4 seed, I think the sad part is Patino is using that as fuel, and the other teams are probably saying, why would they give them a 4? Because now that's going to fuel the fire.
Like Steve Masiello, who was Patino's assistant, who runs a offense and a style very similar, except now he's got a motivated and ticked off Louisville/Patino squad.
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want. You know, not that they were a sleeping dog, even though they say you should never kick a sleeping dog, but you really just gave the national champs, who have a great chance, not just a chance, but a great chance of winning it back-to-back. Now you give them even more bulletin board material, if you will. And it's not any fault of any team they're playing. The NCAA tournament committee, maybe they were trying to light a fire under Patino. I don't know why, but I guarantee you, Louisville fans, that team is thinking about that number 4 seed. It means a lot to them.
As we wrap this up, I'm not going to ask you who's in your Final Four because you're calling the games. I want you to keep your neutrality. But let me ask you this. Is it fair to say that with Florida here and with Louisville here, there's a possibility that half the Final Four could be playing in this sub-region?
Yeah, no question. I'm not a bracket guy. I never fill out brackets. I enjoy the game, and I enjoy the way to see people, you know, when they lose or when they win. But that's very likely, and I think that would be tremendous. It's all, to me, the game of basketball, especially at this level, is something that unless you've been to a game or been to an NCAA tournament, you can't describe it. And to have those two teams that have a great possibility of getting to the Final Four, and like you said, out of the same region, is pretty special for both those teams and the people, obviously, in this area.
What are the players feeling? Use your experience. This is the calm before the storm. Is it almost a situation where let's just play it and get it over with, or do you actually enjoy having the extra time to let it fester and work yourself up into a lather?
If you've been here and you understand what it's about, like a Louisville, you want it to last as long as possible. You love the feeling because you remember what it was like in the past. These type of days are terrific for the fans to see them play. But not only that, they get the feel, the smell, just the taste of the air in the building and what it's going to be like a little bit earlier.
Donny Marshall, he was the man on the court, and you know what? He's the man behind the mic as well. Thank you very much, bro. Really appreciate it. Continued success.
Anytime. Thank you.